What's going on, guys? Your boy Baby Ayo is back. Today we have the best Wrath Hopeness Lab skills, the normal skills, best normal skills you can get, ones that you should avoid at all costs, ones that are, if you get it, it's okay. We'll talk about the best advanced skills, what you should set your preferences to, which is a new kind of Hopeness Lab feature that I'll be talking about, and all around just how to set up your Wrath to be the best for your APC. It will be different, so enjoy, watch the video. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you already know everything, then thanks for watching anyway. Appreciate it. Stay tuned. So let's just jump right into it. Like I said, I'll be talking about Wrath. I'm going to basically be doing this for every single hero in the game, but most people have already asked me about Wrath. He just got released, so that's kind of why it's like a hot button issue, I guess. So I'm going to be talking about it. This is my current setup right now. I have gold damage plus 5, gold damage plus 5 again, gold group attack resistance plus 15%, and then purple killer or magician. Killer or magician is an advanced ability. You can tell because the advanced abilities are hexagons, whereas the normal abilities are kind of these five-sided polygons. So it's fairly obvious which ones are which. And in order to do it, you just use the normal mode or the advanced mode. Technically, normal mode can give you advanced skills, but it's very rare. And the likelihood that you're going to get the one that you want from normal mode is like probably less than 0.1%. I don't know. So normally you're going to have to use advanced mode, and it does require these decay energies, which you can only get by basically destroying these heroes. So decay energy is usually the bottleneck for a lot of people for these heroes. So I'll kind of talk about that once we get to the advanced abilities. So first things first, with Wrath, I'm going to use the Maya record because it's just the easiest way to see all the abilities. Every single hero can get every single normal ability. Depending on who the hero is, the advanced abilities will change. So in terms of what are the best normal abilities, first, I'm going to talk about kind of the strategy for pretty much every hero in the Hopeness Lab. Basically, what I recommend for you guys is your very first skill that you want. You can go ahead and check this box. It doesn't matter whether or not you check it. You're not going to use more or less crystals. It's basically just quicker. So if you know you just want a gold, which I recommend for the first one, definitely just get gold. Just select this box, reconstruct until you get one of the golds that you like. It doesn't matter if it's, on the top row or the bottom row or in the middle. It makes no difference. So just go ahead, get one gold, lock it in. Now it's going to increase your next rolls to 2. Get that second one to gold, to a good gold skill, not just any gold, but a good gold skill, which I'll be listing in this video. Lock it, and then it's kind of up to you. If you're, more competitive, I guess, or you care more or spend more even, go for your third gold and then lock it, and then go for your advanced mode. Is usually how I do it, just because advanced mode sometimes you're going to just end up with a purple skill and you'll be okay with that. Even sometimes you might get a blue skill and you'll be okay with that. It's going to depend, and I'll talk about that in a bit. So that's kind of how I do it. I lock in my first 3 golds, then I use my advanced mode until I get something that I want. So let's talk about the abilities that you should avoid at all costs with Wrath, and then the normal abilities that you should just take if they come around. So the abilities to avoid at all costs, I'm not going to get too deep into it in this video. If you guys want me to talk about all these skills kind of in depth, I might release one video that's kind of like the whole encyclopedia of all these skills. But for now, the ones to avoid are Siege Attacker Might plus 30, Siege Attacker Resistance plus 30, Siege Defense Might plus 30, Siege Defender Resistance plus 30, Fighter Counter Effect minus 5, Shooter Counter Effect minus 5, and Vehicle Counter Effect minus 5. Just ignore all of those. Even if they come up in their gold, skip it. Get a different one. Get a better one. So now the ones that you should lock in immediately are Might plus 30, Resistance plus 30, Tactical Resistance plus 30, any of the group, so Group Resistance, Group Might, Group Tactical Resistance, generally I'm going to say lock those in. HP, you can lock it in. It's not going to be like your highest priority, but you can lock it in. Damage plus 5, you can also lock it in. Again, it's not really going to be your highest priority. Damage plus 5 is probably in the lower end. I know that I have 2 of them, but that's just because I don't really necessarily use Wrath a lot anyway, so I'm not going to spend tons of crystals on them. So those are kind of the ones that you should go for. Might plus 30 is probably your number one. Potentially, you could consider your group might, or maybe group tactical resistance. But overall, I would say might plus 30 is probably the best bet that you can have with an all-arounder Wrath build. Now, it does differ depending on your combos. If you have like the 3 brothers, for example, where you're using Wrath and Death Rider, and like Kamikaze, for example, then the group might is actually better because you're giving it to Death Rider, so it's more important. But if you're running like TP Wrath, Cannon S, for example, then you don't really want group might. So it does depend, and that's why I'm kind of just saying might plus 30 is sort of just the all-around like best in slot. It's going to work no matter what combo you throw it in, or what APC you throw it in, so yeah. So again, to recap, the ones if you find them, just lock them in. Might plus 30, resistance plus 30, HP plus 10, technical might plus 30, tactical resistance plus 30, damage plus 5, skip basically all the rest. Group might plus 15, group resistance plus 15, group tactical might plus 15, group tactical resistance plus 15. So lock those ones in and you'll be all right. They might not be like the best of the best, but I really don't recommend going for like all 4 of the top. You're going to spend so many crystals. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the advanced abilities. And this is where it gets far more complex, I would say, generally. So first things first, we have this new preferences button. Basically what it is you're allowed to pick 3 advanced abilities for whatever hero you want, which is pretty damn cool. Well, I guess I actually didn't even explain it. You can pick 3 abilities, and it's going to be more likely that you get those abilities. I don't have any idea what the increased likelihood is or what it isn't. You can only use the ones that you've already unlocked. So, for example, if you've never unlocked Lucky 2, you won't be able to actually select Lucky 2. If you've never unlocked Unarmed Storm, then you won't be able to select Unarmed Storm. So it's not perfect, I wouldn't say, but it's definitely better, hopefully. You never know. It could be just completely bogus, I guess, and it might not even increase anything. Just kind of a placebo. So that's the preferences thing. You can select them if you want. I would generally recommend selecting the ones that you want if you have them unlocked. So now let's talk about the ones that are really, really good. There's a lot of advanced abilities, so I'm going to go through them fairly quickly, honestly. And I'm really only going to talk about the ones that you should really like keep. The rest, you're going to kind of have to figure out, or you can ask me. But I didn't want this video to be 50 minutes, so I'm not going to talk about each one individually. So one of the really good ones that you should take, Temporary Preparedness, this basically just heals you every single turn, or has the chance to heal you every single turn for a set amount. It's not enormous heals, but the heals are effective and they do count. So Temporary Preparedness is pretty solid. Yes, he kind of subtracts healing, but it doesn't really matter. You can still take Temporary Preparedness. Other than that, you can take Tactical Conversion. Tactical Conversion basically just decreases your basic attack damage and increases your skill damage. Overall, it's pretty good. Wrath does skill damage way more than he does basic attack damage, so it's good. It's beneficial. You can take Greed. Greed is basically going to heal him based on damage, so like a lifesteal ability, something like that is a good way to think of it. You can take Potential Unleashed. It's solid. When your troop count goes below 50%, you gain an enormous buff, 100 might and 100 resistance. The thing about Potential Unleashed is you're oftentimes not going to be under 50%, or that'll only really trigger very, very later into the round. The exception to this is against somebody like Huntress, and in which case Potential Unleash is really, really good. Full of Vigor is fantastic for somebody like Wrath, who generally you're going to have like a TP Wrath cannon, excuse me, or like a Kamikaze TP Wrath lineup. In those cases, there's so much heals, they almost never ever like even get close to dying. So Full of Vigor basically gives you additional might when you're above a certain health percentage, and that's pretty huge. Wrath is going to do a lot of extra damage with Full Vigor. It's probably on my top. It's definitely on my top 3. Full Vigor for Wrath, especially in TP Wrath combinations. And this trial is solid, very, very solid for Wrath. Basically, what it does is whenever you take damage, you gain might and resistance. For me, I've only ever unlocked it in blue, so you're only seeing the +3%, but I believe it's +5 maybe, or +10 even. I forget what it is at gold. It's quite a bit, whatever it is at gold. I think it's +5. Not sure. I forget. Anyway, it stacks up to 20 times, so even at blue, you can get 60% might, 60% resistance by taking damage. The reason why it's really good on Wrath is he damages himself and his allies every single round, so it's just going to keep proccing within this trial. Killer Magician is really, really, really good. You leech 20% might and 20% resistance. Leeching basically means you take from your enemy and you apply it to yourself. So if you start off the battle and you have 400 might, the enemy has 400 might, you have 400 resistance, the enemy has 400 resistance. If Killer Magician triggers, which it always triggers, you're going to steal 20% might from that enemy. So now you'll have 420 and your enemy will have 380. So it's basically a double. It's a buff on yourself and a nerf on the enemy. So it's really, really, really strong, and that's effective every single round. Especially gold, but even purple, I would definitely take it. It's really, really good, strong. It's basically 80% difference because you're leeching 20% might, you're leeching 20% resistance, so you're gaining 40 and they're losing 40, so 80 overall. At gold, it's 30% of everything, so actually 120, which is huge. So those are kind of the ones I would take. There is another one that's kind of secret, and it's basically just for Wrath. It's pretty cool. So I don't care about it enough, but I do think it's good. It's very similar to Scorpion's Toxic Erosion, where you get 15% poison, 15% damage increase on poison abilities. Wrath has an ability, Enhanced Reflect, which is plus 15% reflected damage, which I think is pretty cool. Basically, the way that it's going to work is if he applies that shield, and then you attack that shield, that damage gets reflected. It'll be increased by 15%. It's honestly not going to be like the most amazing skill you can get on Wrath, but it is a pretty interesting skill, and it's one that I would probably lock it in if I got it gold for sure. So those are basically the only advanced abilities that I personally would get. For me, the way I would organize my preferences is I would take Full of Vigor. So again, you can select 3 of them. I would take Killer or Magician, and I would probably take, Temporary Preparedness, for example, which basically just heals every round. If I get it in gold, I'm definitely taking it. Greed, I would probably consider Greed, but again, it kind of depends on my combo, really. I would take Endless Trial, and I would take Enhanced Reflect. So it kind of just depends on which ones you're looking for. So for me, I would be totally comfortable with these. Like I said, I have Killer Magician. My damage plus 5s, I would reroll them, but I don't care enough. Wrath is one of those heroes where like he can kind of benefit from every single ability or every single attribute in the game. So it's not terribly, terribly important to super duper get like the best one. Like some heroes, for example, they don't really do any damage at all. So for them, having might is just useless. And conversely, some heroes don't have any defense, like Huntress. So Huntress having resistance is basically useless. For Wrath, it doesn't matter. He can have everything, and he'll be a happy guy. So that's about it for Wrath. If you guys have a very specific question in terms of, I just got lucky 5? Do I keep Lucky 5 gold? Do I keep Lucky 5 gold, or do I go with defensive attack purple? Something like that. Definitely just ask in the comments. I'll be perusing through. And like I said, I will probably do this for every single Season X hero, or like the meta heroes, I mean. So, you know, even if it's Anna or Captain Ivan or whatever, do a very similar thing to that. If you're confused by these attributes and what they actually mean, let me know, and I might do some sort of encyclopedic type video where I really explain each attribute and what it does. Otherwise, stay tuned for more of these. I will be posting a video every single day in September. So the grind starts tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully you stick with me. Catch you guys next time. Peace.
Wake up, early mornings, late nights, hopping on a different flight. What's the meaning of life, ayy? Wake up, same-ish, different day. Make a wish, call it pray. Am I sick, am I okay, ayy? Stay up